lawmakers need to find a resolution for is the case of insecurity in the country. On Tuesday, the National Assembly resumed plenary, and top of the agenda was the growing insecurity in many parts of the nation. Due to this latest development, the Senate has summoned service chiefs to appear before it next week and proffer lasting solutions to the widespread insecurity in the country. The invitation followed a motion titled Spate of Insecurity in Nigeria, sponsored by all 109 senators during yesterday's plenary. Joining us on the morning show to discuss what the solutions lawmakers are looking at to fix this issue is NED NWOKO, Senator representing Delta North Senatorial District. Good morning, Senator, and thank you for joining us on the morning show.
Good morning and welcome to.
Well, Senator, the spate of insecurity in the country is a source of concern. So it's not surprising to see that the Senate is looking at this and passing resolutions and all of that. But before now, you had proposed a bill that the way forward is for Nigerians to carry firearms. That if everybody has access to firearms, that will check the threat of violence, it will check illegal arms trafficking and all of that. Do you still stand by that position? And is your position one of the resolutions by the Senate now? Because your bill was supposed to pass first reading, second reading. And why would you say all of us should carry arms? Wouldn't that be a prescription for complete anarchy in a country where there's so much anomy already?
Well, thank you for having me on this morning. My bill is predicated on the lawlessness that is currently pervading the nation. We all have experienced it, or we know somebody who has experienced it, somebody who has been kidnapped by armed robbers or by kidnappers or by some form of militants, herdsmen, and all of them. We have really come to a point in this country where we must make an honest admission to ourselves, which is that the security agents cannot really protect lives and properties as enshrined in the Constitution. The common man is left to his caprices, if I may use that word. The common man is not able or does not get any kind of support from the police. The police as a force is ill-equipped. The police is ill-funded. The police is not capable of discharging those onerous duties. I mean, that is a basic fact. I am in the Senate Committee on Police Matters, and I can tell you that we do not have the number of policemen that we need to secure Nigeria as a country. We do not, clearly. And the military, on the other hand, I mean, we've been spending billions of naira over the years buying warplanes, buying different arms and ammunitions in the name of fighting terrorism and other crimes. But they are, again, also not able to deal with the issues. So a lot of money has been spent, a lot of lives have been lost, and we are nowhere near finding a solution. Look, the idea of a bill to enable Nigerians to carry arms and defend themselves is born out of desperation. The fact that people do not have the kind of protection that they need. Let me tell you what happens in UK, for example, in terms of emergency. You know, if you, assuming you have an emergency and you pick your phone and you dial 999, not 080 number or 07, no, just 999, and maybe you summoned your last breath to dial 999, and you don't speak to the person on the other end of the line. What happens is that within 5-10 minutes, you will receive 3 emergency visits from the police, from the ambulance services, and from the fire brigade, because at that point they would have known which one you needed. So 3 of them will converge at the place where the phone is located. But in Nigeria, I mean, what stops us from having 999 number, 111 number, 88 number, you know? And it's one of those things that we just need to address. How do you help the people, ordinary Nigerians, to reach out to the security forces or emergency services in the event of trouble? Now, you know, talking about my bill, it is not just about people carrying arms. You just don't go into a shop and buy arms. No, there are measures that are being proposed, and they are very, very strict measures. You know, like in America, every citizen has a right to bear arms as enshrined in the Constitution. In Nigeria, it is not so. So what we are trying to do, what I'm trying to do specifically, is to have a system where people who are willing to carry arms are given the opportunity to so do. Now, the first condition that must be met is that every local government area must have a gun school, gun shooting school. And so if you want to have a license to, just give me some minute, please. It's important you understand this. You know, so if you want to have a gun, the first thing to do is to be trained on the use of arms. So there will be in every local government area shooting schools run by former military officers, owned by them. Now, when you have been certified to have gone through that and you are able to use arms, the next step is for you to go to your king or your emir or your oba, who will give you a letter of certification to confirm that you are from that particular place. Then the next thing for you to do is to go to 2 doctors. Those 2 doctors must certify that you are mentally fit to bear arms. Then you go to your local government chairman, who must also confirm that you are from that particular local government. And then you now go to the DPO of that locality. The DPO must confirm that you do not have any criminal record, and that you are not a wanted person.
What you've just described. Senator Nwoko, let me just come in very quickly. Hello? Because of our time. Can you hear me? Let me come in because yes, I want to ask based on before you get there. I want to ask a question around what you've already said, because you've said a lot, and it's important that we're able to digest it and also, you know, ask a few questions with regards to some of the proposals you've made. Now, it sounds like you've given a lot of thought to your bill, including the implementation, and we hear you about local government. But the more you speak about it, the more we see the number of obstacles that would challenge this bill. The first instance is this are saying that they have to be responsible, law-abiding Nigerians. How do you judge that? Number one, we're already grappling with security agents themselves not being able to handle their weapons and use them indiscriminately in some instances. How do we then vet or check Nigerian citizens who will then have access to these weapons to not use it indiscriminately as well? That's one. Number two, who will fund these various steps, or where would the funding come from? These various steps, because you said that the license money would go to supporting the police, not to implementing, because that money is already accounted for. Where would the funding come from? The local government you've talked about, and is it the current local government system we have at the moment? And then with regards to the training, the things you've mentioned, where would the funding come from? So it sounds like on paper, a considerable bill, but in terms of the implementation, it looks like there'll be a lot of bottlenecks, and it doesn't seem very plausible. I'd like to get your thoughts on how funding. Number two, checking who is going to hold these weapons. Are you not concerned that we have not even sanitized those who are, officially allowed to hold them with indiscriminate use? How we will do then check that among citizens?
Well, look, you're asking questions as if you're not part of this country. there are many issues here, issues of insecurity. That was why when we resumed on Tuesday, all that we spoke about, all that we talked about, all that frustration that we felt as a Senate was all on insecurity. So it doesn't matter about the implementation, it doesn't matter about the funding. Those things will be taken care of, will take care of itself as we get there. Look, if you or Ruben wants to have a pistol, for example, or an AK-47, for example, all you just need to do is to know that you want it. And then you go to the shooting school. The shooting school is not free of charge. The shooting school is there also to make money, but to train people. So anybody who wants to go there should pay for the training. This is what is done all over the place. It shouldn't be a problem at all, as to funding. The shooting schools will be licensed and run by former military guys who have the capacity to understand about guns and to train the will-be users. So there's no question about the funding or the implementation. But as I was saying before, by the time you are done with...
The concerns around putting weapons in the hands of citizens, when even in the hands of police officers, we haven't been able to regulate that. I mean, look at the American situation. They are grappling with that, and they have a more established institution.
I understand. Look, in America, they don't have these checks and balances. Anybody who is a citizen can walk into any gun shop and buy any gun, from a machine gun to a pistol or whatever they desire to have in their collections. But here, look, we are left with nothing. We are left with nothing. So the average Nigerian has come to the end of the teethers. That what they need is basically to have the ability to defend themselves. Let me tell you, so if you don't trust Nigerians, law-abiding Nigerians, to defend themselves, then what are you talking about? Already we have over maybe 0.5% of the population with illegal arms, and it's growing by the day. It's not getting less. The alternative is just to allow them to continue acquiring arms illegally, whilst denying the citizens who are credible, who are mentally fit to carry arms, the opportunity to defend themselves. Let me give you an instance. In UK, it is an offense to carry machete or knives or such offensive weapons if seen in the street. I mean, people carry bow and arrows in Nigeria. It's an offensive weapon. People carry machetes here. Every household in Nigeria probably has a machete or a cutlass or some pen knife that is more than 3 inches. In UK, it's an offense to be caught with anything like that, and you go to prison for it. In Nigeria, it is not an offense. But do we go about killing ourselves with guns, with machetes, with knives and cutlasses? No. So we should get to the point where we become responsible citizens. I mean, majority of people in Nigeria are responsible. There are many doctors, many lawyers, many presenters, brokers, and others, who have the desire to have some kind of weapon to be able to scare away the would-be attackers. If you are licensed to have a gun, and those bad guys out there understand that you have a gun in your house, the likelihood that they will come to your house to harass you, kill, or rape is almost nil. They won't do it. Even as a deterrent, they won't do it. So just imagine a few days ago, some children in a Ekiti state or so were kidnapped. They were kidnapped because they were not protected. They were kidnapped because there was no adult with them who was armed. You can't allow that to continue. If there's a gun license and every school is meant to have people who are armed protecting them, let me tell you that you will have this kind of stories. There are many vigilantes in Nigeria. Okay. There are many other security companies in Nigeria. But the fact is that they're not even allowed to carry arms. So you make it possible for those companies to be armed instead of just standing around buildings and offices and homes without arms. If they have arms, those No, look, if they have arms, those people will be your first line of defense.
Okay,
but they're not. Okay. So what's the point of having them all over the place?
Okay, Senator NWOKO, I mean, I totally get your argument. And it's because of the matter on ground you want this. But the counter-argument has always been about you don't want to give guns to a frustrated Nigerian and all of that. But I think part of your bill, if it's there, what will be the checks before issuing these arms? Secondly, what's the process like of getting a firearm? Do you have a firearm? What process did you go through in getting that firearm? Or if you don't have a firearm, what's the process around getting a firearm as we speak today? Thirdly, will your bill do anything as regards getting firearms? Hang on a minute. Let me just finish.
Can I take your questions?
There's one more.
If you throw
go ahead.
Questions, I will remember all of them.
Go ahead. Just go ahead.
So let me just deal with the first two. Okay, and you can ask more. Look, I was just, maybe you were not listening to what I said about the checks and balances. The first thing is about the training school to be established in every local government area. The second thing is that the will-be licensee must go to various places to get some kind of certification, including from the local government chairman, from the king or the emir, must get a medical report from 2 doctors, must go to DPO and get confirmation that they are not wanted or they are not in court for any criminal matter. And then, with all these documents, you go back to the same shooting school and present them with your documentations that you are now able to get those arms. But they will take about a month to go back to those bodies and confirm that they actually issued those documents to you. When that is done, you can go back to them and then get your arms. And let me say this, every of those shooting schools must also have a forensic expert. And what is the point of a forensic expert? Let me tell you this. If a gun is licensed to Mr. A or a murder occurs within the vicinity. Now, the forensic expert should be able, through autopsy and the rest of them, get the bullet that was used in the killing of that particular individual and link it to a particular bullet or bullets that were issued by the licensing schools, because these are things that have to be done as a way of checking the usage after the acquisition of those guns. So yes, do you understand what I've just said? So if a gun is used, a bullet is used, the forensic experts who should be able to identify where the gun came from through the licensing. So
the problem I have,
bodies.
Sir, with due respect, the problem I have with your idea is the practicality of it. With due respect, it is not practicable in Nigeria. You see, all of that you have just stated, the processes, I can do it if I'm corrupt. I can get somebody to get me a shooting school license. I can get all of that. We have a low amount of forensic experts in the country. That's the point I was trying to make as regards checks for the system. And that's why I asked, probably if you have what was the process you went through? And if you don't, what's the process as it is pervasively now? Because all of that problem, all of that checks you talk, can be circumvented with corruption. The last question I wanted to ask is, will your bill, or is your bill thinking about anything as regards guns in the hands of non-state actors?
Hold on, you seem to have given up on Nigeria. You're going to give Nigerians an opportunity. I mean, you just condemn everybody. You think everybody is corrupt. You think the kings are corrupt. You think the DPOs are corrupt. You think the doctors are corrupt. You think the local government chairmen are corrupt. You think anybody will just go there and pay the money and get those certifications. No. We must start to lay a foundation for growth in this country. So if you want to get a license, let me ask you this. Would you want to own a gun yourself? Would you want to be able to defend yourself if you are attacked by armed robbers or by kidnappers in your own home? Would you want to be able to defend your children and your wife if you are attacked? I mean, you're telling me no, you don't want to handle a gun. If you don't want to handle a gun, that's your problem. Then don't handle a gun. But there are many people out there who want to be given the opportunity to defend themselves. So I speak on behalf of those ones, not for people like you who might not want to have a gun, who are vulnerable, but you want to remain vulnerable. But you know that the police and the military cannot defend you. So look, as I said before, out there are already a proliferation of arms in the hands of of kidnappers and armed robbers and bandits. So you just want them to continue, but you know also that the other alternative is to keep funding the military, keep funding the police, but we're not getting anywhere. Because before you and me, over the years, you know that in this country, that system has failed. The system has almost collapsed. Look, about 3 months ago, my SLA in National Assembly was kidnapped. 3 months ago. Up till now, he has not been found. Even though we made a report to the police and to the DSS. And there was just one demand for 10 million ransom made to the wife. I gave the police the phone number. Obviously, the police ought to have been able to track the telephone, whether the phone is switched off or not switched off. But this is a system failure. And up till now, nothing has been done.
Senator.
I keep making phone calls to the police. I keep making phone calls to the DSS. Nothing has been done. At this level, nothing has been done. When I moved my motion, I also spoke about having CCTV across the country. But